Hey guys, how we doing? Hope you guys out there in Zoom land are doing great. A few things just quickly. How excited and fortunate and blessed I am to be back here in Chapel Hill at this great university. The first time around here, I came here, and in my 17-year coaching career, this is one of my favorite stops. The people, the student athletes, the culture around the program, and just the environment you find yourself here from a living standpoint in Chapel Hill. Very fortunate that Coach Brown called and gave me the opportunity through Coach Chizik to have the opportunity to come back here. And like I said, this place is so great. It's one of the greatest combinations of academics and athletics that you could hope for in the United States. And with the resources and the investment into football and the advances made with Coach Brown, that you can see throughout the building with the players, with the recruiting, has been phenomenal. So I'm super blessed and grateful to be back here. I can't wait to get to work with these young men that I've had a chance to through text, and now that I've been in the building for a couple days, to meet and look in their eyes and see the hunger and the fire and the want to be great. And that doesn't happen because they just wanted to. It happens because there's a systematic, disciplined approach to teach, to coach. It's a relentless effort that you have to give each and every day in the weight room, at practice. And it's the demand of what you got to give, especially in the secondary, to be great, okay? And so I can't wait to get on the journey with these young men and have a blast. So with that, I see a bunch of familiar names and faces out there. I'll let you guys ask questions.
Thanks, Coach. Welcome to Chapel Hill, or welcome back. We'll begin with Andrew Jones. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, good to see you again. Could you take us back to the conversation you had, I guess, when Gene called you? I would assume Gene called you before you spoke with Mac and talked about the opportunity coming back. And then your conversation with Mac and kind of what went into it with you, why you wanted to work with both of them.
I think Coach Chizik has been one of my mentors in football. When I had the opportunity to first meet him, which was really a cold call, when I was at the University of Nebraska and he was taking the job here at Carolina, cold call, had never met him, obviously knew his reputation, knew his name as a DB guy, as a coordinator, as a head coach there at Auburn. So the interview process there, and that really started a mentorship, a friendship with Coach Chizik. I respect him no end. I went to him for career advice with different moves, different programs. So one, the respect and admiration I have for Coach Chizik is up there. So for him to call me and say, hey, look, I'm getting back in, and you're the one dude I want to bring with me if you're willing to do it. So I was flattered by that. And then to have Coach Brown call me, Hall of Fame coach, national champion, the first time I was here, how much the people in this community just loved him as a head coach. Again, flattered. And then for me, being a guy from the South, recruiting base in the South, being here before, coaching guys like MJ Stewart and Miles Dorn and Dez Lawrence and Cole Holcomb and just that whole crew of guys we had, it just was to me the right thing to do. It felt natural, it felt right, and I got a chance to be back in a place I love being with a guy that I admire in college football.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Dina King, please.
Hey, Coach Warren, you got a great reputation of being an outstanding recruiter. Do you know what region that you will be recruiting in? And what's your thoughts on Coach Brown's recruiting class that he just brought in?
I will be in the region where there's players. So we have not gotten that specific, but for sure, wherever there's a secondary player in the country, under any rock, in an igloo in Alaska, wherever that guy is, I'm going to go help find him and recruit him. And then wherever this group needs me, we have our footprint. They'll put me someplace in the footprint, and we'll get after it. And what was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
Your thoughts on the 22 class that Coach Brown just signed?
Very familiar with every one of those guys. Whether they were young guys when I was at Georgia, being recruited, especially those guys up front, or whether I was at Indiana, I have a relationship with some of those guys already from the recruiting cycle. With the DBs coming in, I knew both of those guys. I had them in camp when they were like sophomores and juniors. So I feel like I'm coming to a place where, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I'm very familiar with the guys we brought in. I think they're a phenomenal group. I think they're a bunch of young men that work hard. They've had a lot of success winning championships, having undefeated seasons. And I think they're guys that embrace the academic component as well as the athletic component. And they all want to be great. They're all competitors. So very much looking forward to getting some of these guys. Some of them are here now. And I know a group, especially the DBs, they get here this summer.
Thank you.
Yep.
Luciano, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I hope you're doing well, and thanks for your time. How does it feel to work with Coach Chiswick once again, and how will your previous time together help you this time?
It's great. I think, again, he's one of the stewards of football that I look up to. And I think the difference now is we came here 2 years ago. We got to know each other over that 2-year period. We got to learn how to work well with each other in jail. And I think at this point, the relationship is elevated. We've known each other for a long time. In the offseason, we've met hours just talking ball. So I think we're at a deeper level, and I know what he's thinking when he talks about a coverage. He knows what I'm thinking when I'm talking about a pressure. We're really on the same wavelength. So even though we're coming together here, we've been synced up for a long time in what a defense should look like, what our philosophy of defenses look like. And personally, I adopted a lot of Coach Chiswick's thoughts as I went on to be a DB coach in the SEC, as I went on to be a defensive coordinator in the Big Ten. I adopted some of his principles that I learned back then to guide me. So I think we're really synced up. There's no get to know each other steps. There's no honeymoon, right? We're going right to it. So I'm looking forward to getting working with him and hitting the ground running.
PJ Morales, go ahead.
Hey, Charlton. So over the past couple seasons, obviously North Carolina's recruiting has, kind of skyrocketed, and, it's at a place where it really wasn't before. So when you look at that kind of progression, how much does that interest you, and how much did that play a factor in you taking this job, seeing the kind of potential that North Carolina has generated over the past couple seasons in terms of its recruiting?
Oh, I think whenever you step into a program or an opportunity, you want to feel like you have a chance to win. And you have a chance to win because of the resources poured into it. You have a chance to win because of your recruiting base to go along with the culture of your program. So as I step into North Carolina right now with this group, I feel like the resources are in place. I feel like the recruiting is in place and has been elevated from a level than when I was here years ago. So that's very appealing as you decide to leave a job and take a job. And you feel like, are you poised to continue with success for years and years to come? And I think coming here tells you, I feel like that Coach Brown, the athletic department has done a tremendous job of putting this program in position to excel and continue to grow over the years. So for me, it was huge in my decision to come back.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
CL Brown, go ahead.
All right, Charlton, with the title of co-defensive coordinator, if you can kind of just peel back, give us a peek behind the curtains, what does that mean for you in terms of your responsibilities? For me, coming here is one of those things where myself, along with Coach Chiswick, will develop our defensive footprint. We'll develop positions on the field. We'll develop scheme. And Coach Chiswick will be the one calling the plays. But coming here, I knew that because of our relationship, the fact that we've studied ball for years together, we're going to do this thing together. It wasn't a title that carried no weight just to get me here. Because, again, I was being the coordinator in the Big Ten. But for me, it's about growth. I just saw this as a potential to be a special place. I've always said if the resources were ever there and the recruiting was where it needed to be, this place could be a gold mine. And I just wanted to be a part of it, to be honest with you, and I wanted to do it with a guy I respect and admire in Coach Chiswick. And what you mentioned being on the same page a lot with him and him being a mentor to you. What is it like when you guys butt heads is too strong of a term, because I don't mean it like literally adversarial, but he sees something one way and you think you should try it another way. How are those discussions? What are those discussions like?
I think just like a coach to a player, when they know you love and care about them, you can coach them hard and get after them, and then you can put your arm around their neck and hug them because they know you care about them. And I think with Coach Chiswick, it's one of those things where we can have I'll say difference of opinion on items, and it can get as heated as it needs to be or calm as it needs to be, but nothing's personal because we both care about each other a lot, right? And then again, I was in the military for 10 years. So at the end of the day, I know fully well when it's time to salute and carry on and have no problems with it. All I know is this: to have a functional organization, when you come out that door, there's one message, there's one tone, there's one path, and we're all behind that, whether you agree with it or not. And I'm fully aware of that. So for me, I think the respect and love we have for each other carries over, and that's what I mean when I say we're on the same page. But we can still have heated conversations. That basically, that's what makes you great. You stimulate ideas, you boil it down, and at some point, you march forward and go with it, and that's what we'll do.
Thank you.
Ross Martin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Warren, good to see you again.
Hey, Ross.
What's up, man? I was going to ask about recruiting and what makes you a great recruiter. Everybody talks about, oh, Coach Warren's a great recruiter. Why do people say that? What is your approach to recruiting, and what do you think makes you an ace recruiter?
I tell you what, I think it's one of those things, you have to be able to reach young people, and they have to feel like you care more about them in this process than just a guy that can run fast and jump high and catch a ball. And I think as you develop what is truly a relationship with a young man, a family, a grandmother, a auntie, a cousin, a high school counselor, the lunch lady who he's been knowing for 15 years, I think when you can reach those people in that inner circle and they feel like you have a genuine interest in them being a student and an athlete and a great human being over the next few years, that's my niche. Okay, I'm not a used car salesman. I don't try to sell young people and families on anything. We're presenting a tremendous opportunity to get a world-class education and win championships with a bunch of men that really care about your development on the football field, and more importantly, your development off the field as you go on to become a young man. So for me, it's about being able to reach into a family and a young man and dig in and have the ability that they feel like this guy is going to affect change in my life in multiple ways to benefit me as a young man for years to come. And I think when you can show a young person and a family that's what makes you a good recruiter. We all have weight rooms, we all have stadiums, we all have indoors, some better than others, okay? But it's the people part that gets you here. It's the people part that allows you to be coached and developed, and you have a track record for developing talent. You have a track record for developing guys that go to class and graduate. You have a track record for putting out young men to be better men and finish the mission that their parents started when they gave them into your care. And that's what I want to be known as. Take care of my troops. And that's what to me makes me who I am. Whether you think I'm a great recruiter or a terrible recruiter, doesn't matter. But that's what makes me the guy I am when I go into the home and got to close. I'm not selling anything, okay? I'm presenting an opportunity to become a better human being and a better football player.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Charlton, I asked Gene about the cultural rebuild that had to take place when you guys came in 2015 on the defensive side of the ball. You've coached at a variety of elite level programs over the years. From your perspective now, with what you've learned, what's the key to having good culture and accountability within a football program?
I think one is everybody being on the same page, okay? And knowing that here's our standard, okay? And the standard does not change. It doesn't matter who the coach is, who the player, how many stars you have, or what your record was. Our standard doesn't change. And I thought when we got here years ago, the one thing we established was a standard, okay? And great player, mediocre player, walk-on player, it didn't matter. Everybody's held to that standard. That breeds accountability and discipline. And I think if you go into any elite program around the country, you see a culture that is fused through discipline, accountability, and standards, okay? And I vividly remember coming here and saying every day, if you were a guy that was not our standard, if you did something in practice, it was an NOS. And everybody was held accountable to that. So for me, I think for us, we get everybody on the same page. There's a standard okay, to be a Tar Heel on the defensive side of the ball, and we hold everybody accountable to that standard. That's coaches included. So I think that's what, to me, can help us.
Thank you.
Okay, our last question today will come from Gregory Hall.
Hey, Charlton, good to meet you.
Hey, Greg.
Just curious, with Dre Bly working with the DBs and corners the last 3 years, just clarification on roles as you guys work together, and also any past relationship you've had maybe with him and what you've seen out of UNC's corners the past few years.
Literally, when I was here the first time, Dre Bly wanted to get into coaching. So I known Dre being a phenomenal NFL player and a Tar Heel himself. As he came in, he had the opportunity to sit in my meetings, shadow in camp and summer workouts, in summer camp. And so him and I built a relationship back then that sort of got him going in coaching. And since then, as I left and he became a coach, we've communicated on different things, technique, scheme, just questions about the business. So we have a tremendous relationship, okay? On the secondary part of it, okay? I'm a firm believer that corners, stars, safeties, dimes, whatever you want to call them, okay? They got to be on the same page. Because when we bust, they strike up the band for the other team because we give up an explosive play or a catastrophic play and it's a touchdown. So I love having a room full of the same bodies, because if we all say cross the street and turn left, it can get interpreted differently between who's saying it. So we'll be together a lot. We'll meet together a lot because I want everybody on the same page. We can't bust on that end. The communication has to be supreme in this day and age with the tempo of offenses, the formations, the no-huddle. Like, you have to be on the same page. So the roles are, there's a secondary. I'm in charge of the secondary. Coach Bly has the corners. But we will do a lot of things together, especially in that meeting room, so that we're on the same page. But we're all going to grow as coaches. We're all going to grow as guys that have a great football IQ. But the scheme, for sure, will be communicated throughout. And then we'll do different things functionally and technically in practice so that we can maximize his talents and my talents.
And then what do you think needs to change for this defense moving forward? Gene Chizik mentioned that the most he's seen from like his 10,000 foot view were some of the inconsistencies that crept up. What have you seen and what do you think needs to change?
I think that's probably true. I think, once that we get every single play, 11 guys acting as one. And I think that's the first thing we got to make sure we can do, is that whatever's called, all 11 guys understand the call, know the call, and execute the call at a tempo that we like, okay, an attacking tempo that we like. And I think that's the first step to a great defense, and that's, to me, the one thing we'll start from day one, making sure we accomplish.
All right, Coach, that's the last one we had for you. We appreciate a few minutes of your time today.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate you guys' time and energy. Look forward to a great year in North Carolina. Thanks.